A sudden deafening roar tore through the early morning calm, shattering the silence that had settled over the city just moments before. The peaceful dawn was instantly replaced by chaos, as a blinding flash lit up the horizon, followed by a powerful shockwave that rippled through the streets. Windows rattled violently in their frames, glass trembling as if about to shatter. Car alarms erupted in a chorus of panic, their shrill cries echoing off the buildings. The sudden noise jolted people from their sleep, confusion and fear spreading as the reality of the situation began to sink in. In the heart of Abu Dhabi, panic leapt from street corner to street corner. People poured out of buildings, their faces etched with terror and disbelief. The city center, usually bustling with the calm rhythm of daily life, was now a scene of utter pandemonium. The city, renowned for its gleaming towers and peaceful skyline, suddenly found itself under attack. Sirens wailed as emergency vehicles raced through the streets, weaving between stalled cars and frightened pedestrians. Fear took hold, gripping the city in a vice. It happened just before sunrise, when most were still lost in dreams. People were jolted awake by a series of thunderous explosions and the relentless wailing of air raid sirens. The comfort of home was shattered in an instant, replaced by confusion and dread. The skyline, once a proud symbol of wealth and safety, became a backdrop for chaos and destruction. Thick plumes of smoke and dust climbed rapidly into the sky, blotting out the first light of day and casting an eerie shadow over the city. The familiar landmarks were now obscured, transformed by the devastation. On the ground, chaos reigned. Families clutched their children tightly, running through the streets in search of safety. The cries of frightened children mixed with the shouts of adults as everyone scrambled to escape the danger. Some residents rushed to basements or nearby shelters, their faces pale with fear and uncertainty. In the dim light of underground refuges, neighbors huddled together, seeking comfort in numbers as they waited for the danger to pass. Others stood frozen in place, unable to process the unfolding disaster. They stared in disbelief at the destruction around them, their minds struggling to comprehend how quickly their world had changed. The missile strike shattered Abu Dhabi's sense of security in an instant. Streets were littered with shattered glass and debris, buildings bore the scars of the attack, and emergency responders worked frantically to help the injured and restore order. As the city scrambled to understand what was happening, a wave of shock and confusion swept over the entire region. News outlets broadcast live images of the chaos, while families across the city and beyond anxiously awaited updates, hoping for reassurance in a moment when none could be found. The city, once a beacon of stability, now faced an uncertain and frightening new reality. The attack sent shockwaves of fear and confusion far beyond the immediate blast site. In an instant, the city's sense of normalcy was shattered. People on the streets froze in disbelief, while those indoors rushed to their windows, trying to make sense of the chaos unfolding outside. News of the strike flashed across phones and television screens, spreading rapidly through group chats, social media feeds, and urgent news alerts. Within minutes, millions were glued to their devices, desperate for updates and reassurance. In homes and office towers, people asked the same urgent question: are we safe? Conversations grew tense as rumors swirled and speculation mounted. Families huddled together, while co-workers exchanged anxious glances, unsure of what might come next. Abu Dhabi's usually busy streets fell eerily silent, except for the piercing sound of sirens and the shouts of emergency responders. Cars were abandoned mid-commute, and the city's vibrant energy was replaced by a haunting stillness. Parents instinctively pulled their children close, trying to comfort them and shield them from the frightening reality. In living rooms and hallways, families clung to each other, searching for words of reassurance. Social media quickly filled with haunting images, shattered glass, plumes of smoke rising from buildings, and the frightened faces of those caught in the chaos. Videos and photos spread rapidly, amplifying the sense of crisis. The shock was not limited to Abu Dhabi. In Dubai, Sharjah, and cities across the Gulf, people felt the tremors of fear. Flights were delayed or canceled, airports filled with anxious travelers, and schools closed their gates as parents rushed to collect their children. Authorities urged everyone to remain calm, holding press conferences and issuing statements. But despite their reassurances, anxiety ran high. Crowds gathered in public spaces, waiting for updates, their faces etched with worry and uncertainty. World news outlets broke the story within minutes, with headlines flashing across screens and journalists scrambling to provide live updates. The world's attention turned to Abu Dhabi as reporters pieced together the unfolding events. The world watched in disbelief as one of the Middle East's safest and most modern cities faced a direct missile strike. Shock and concern rippled through international communities as viewers tried to comprehend the gravity of the situation. The shockwaves, both literal and emotional, reached capitals around the globe. From London to New York, Paris to Tokyo, people paused to watch the news, and world leaders convened emergency meetings, realizing that the impact of this attack would be felt far beyond the Gulf. As the missile neared the city, a sense of dread settled over Abu Dhabi. The early morning sky, usually calm and serene, was suddenly pierced by the sight of a missile streaking overhead, its smoke trail a chilling reminder of the danger approaching. People who had just begun their day stopped in their tracks, eyes fixed on the horizon, hearts pounding with uncertainty. Abu Dhabi's air raid sirens howled, their wailing echoing off the buildings and reverberating through the city's streets. The blaring alarms, once only a distant memory from safety drills, now became a terrifying reality. The sound was alien, a warning most had only heard in drills. Panic spread quickly, as confusion and fear rippled through the crowds. People looked to one another for answers but found only shared anxiety in their faces. People ran from open spaces, abandoning cars and bikes in their haste. Streets that moments before bustled with life were suddenly scenes of chaos. As pedestrians scrambled for shelter, desperate to escape the open, emergency vehicles sped through red lights, their sirens and flashing lights cutting through the confusion. Ambulances and fire trucks raced against time, determined to reach those in need. Ambulances, fire trucks, and police cars moved as one, weaving around terrified pedestrians. Their coordinated efforts brought a glimmer of order to the chaos, as first responders risked their own safety to help others. Some residents covered their ears, trying to block out the relentless noise and confusion. The overwhelming sound of sirens, shouts, and distant explosions left many feeling helpless and exposed. In shopping malls, security guards herded shoppers to underground parking lots, urging them to move quickly but calmly. The usually bustling centers of commerce became makeshift shelters as people huddled together, waiting for the danger to pass. At mosques, worshippers paused their prayers, the call to safety overriding the call to worship. They fled to safe rooms, guided by faith and the instinct to survive. Office buildings issued alarms over the intercom, urging people to seek cover. Workers left their desks behind, filing out in orderly lines, their faces etched with worry and disbelief. Crying children clung to their parents, seeking comfort in the midst of chaos. Families huddled together, trying to shield the youngest from the fear that gripped the city. The city's calm routine shattered in an instant. Streets emptied, shops closed, and the familiar rhythm of daily life was replaced by uncertainty and fear. Yet, in the rush for safety, Abu Dhabi's people showed both their fear and their resilience. Neighbors helped one another, strangers offered comfort, and the community stayed together even as panic threatened to overwhelm them. In the face of crisis, the city's spirit endured, proving that even in the darkest moments, unity and hope can shine through. Iran launched the missile from deep within its borders. Military satellites picked up the launch seconds after ignition. Regional air defense systems snapped to life. The signal went out. Abu Dhabi was under threat. Emirati air defense teams scrambled. Anti-missile batteries fired interceptors streaking into the sky. The city held its breath, hoping for a miracle, but the missile evaded most defenses, its path twisting and changing as it neared the city. The countdown was brief. First, a distant rumble, then a terrifying blast. The missile struck an industrial district on the outskirts, close to residential blocks. The shockwave blew out windows across several neighborhoods. In minutes, Abu Dhabi went from calm to chaos. The missile's journey, from Iranian launch pad to Emirati ground zero, was over, but the nightmare was only beginning for the people caught in its path. The impact was devastating. Buildings closest to the missile's landing site crumbled. Glass and debris covered the streets. Thick black smoke billowed upward, visible for miles. Firefighters battled flames that leapt from building to building. Paramedics rushed to help the injured, carrying them on stretchers through rubble and dust. Sirens drowned out all other sounds. Local hospitals quickly filled with wounded men, women, and children. Emergency rooms overflowed. Doctors and nurses doctors worked frantically, treating burns, cuts, and trauma. In the chaos, one civilian was confirmed dead, a tragic loss that hit the city hard. The destruction left hundreds homeless and thousands shaken. Streets once filled with life, now lay scarred and deserted, the air heavy with the smell of smoke and fear. Residents were stunned. "We never thought this could happen here," said one shopkeeper, her voice trembling. "We are afraid, but we must stay strong for each other." The Ministry of Defense released a statement within hours. "We condemn this act of aggression," it read. Officials promised to bring those responsible to justice and to strengthen defenses. Emergency teams spoke of their pride and exhaustion. "We worked all night to pull people from the rubble," said a firefighter. "It is our duty, but the pain is real." Messages of condolence poured in from across the United Arab Emirates. Community leaders called for unity and resilience. Abu Dhabi's spirit was shaken, but not broken. The missile strike left a mark on every family. Some searched for missing loved ones, others waited by hospital beds, praying for recovery. The news of one civilian death brought tears and anger. Workers in the industrial district faced ruin. Factories and warehouses were destroyed. Jobs and livelihoods vanished in seconds. Many wondered how they would rebuild. Schools closed for the day. Children drew pictures of smoke and fire, trying to understand what had happened. Counselors offered support, but fear lingered in every classroom. Abu Dhabi, a city of many cultures and backgrounds, came together in mourning. People of all faiths and nationalities joined hands, determined to heal and move forward. The missile strike changed the mood across the Gulf. In Dubai, Bahrain, and Qatar, security forces went on high alert. Roadblocks and checkpoints appeared overnight. Neighboring countries increased air patrols. Airports tightened security. Travelers faced long delays as authorities searched for threats. Rumors spread quickly, adding to the fear. World leaders reacted swiftly. The United States, United Kingdom, and Japan condemned the attack. "There must be accountability," said one European diplomat. Calls for calm and restraint echoed through the United Nations. Markets fell, oil prices rose, the sense of unease spread from the Gulf to Europe, Asia, and beyond. The world watched, anxious for what might come next. In Iran, leaders defended their decision, citing threats from abroad. Protests erupted both in support and against the strike. The government tightened security in major cities. Israel raised its alert level. Military bases prepared for possible retaliation. In Bahrain and Qatar, leaders urged their people to stay calm. Diplomatic channels buzzed with urgent messages. Despite the tension, voices for peace grew louder. "We must not let violence define us," said one Abu Dhabi imam. But the fear remained, of more missiles, more chaos, more loss. Abu Dhabi and the Middle East faced an uncertain future. The city's skyline, once a symbol of hope, now stood guard over a region on edge. The world waited, hoping for peace but bracing for the worst.